Давайте починати. Right? High time. So new Ukrainian school, year 3, and, well, doing it right. Well, this year it's going to be different for everyone, not only for year 3 with new Ukrainian school, because actually this year all of us are starting the school year in a very different way. Never ever before had we quarantine that lasted, well, for half of a term. Started in March, and then no one came back to the classroom until today, basically. And then we have the new Ukrainian school program, which again is different. So as I think you have read in the ministry recommendations and documentations, it says that we need to start everything with revision, right? So that's the beginning, new Ukrainian school or not, but it all starts with defining what our students know and what they don't know. Now, again, all of you had a different situation in March, April, and May, because I know that some of you had live lessons. Some of you had no opportunity to teach live lessons distantly, so you were chatting with students, endlessly communicating with parents. Some of you had live lessons, but half of the students were not present, because that's reality. It all was very, very different, but still, so from today, we are back in the classroom. Thank God, it's very good. Well, same for me, especially. And we can get back to our regular teaching. So let's think about the classroom and the regular class. Now, which lesson types, when we think about English, do we teach regularly? Can anyone type any idea? So what do we teach, or if you can name some specific lesson types, then that can be it. So some people are still coming in. Hi. Okay, I hope someone is typing what we are teaching our young learners. Okay, everyone is agitated typing. More people saying hello. Hi to you, Lana. Hey. So when we talk about language learning, basically when we talk about teaching language, there are certain things that we need to teach our students to be able to say that, well, they know the language. So grammar, fantastic. Okay, someone has typed in lots of, so Anna, thank you. Oh, Anna, hi. Vocab and speaking and writing and reading and listening and revision. Yes, this is, there are revision lessons, or it's part of a lesson, right? So there are productive and receptive skills, fantastic. We do have listening. So there are lessons where we present vocab, grammar, functions, right? So we mix activities. We test our students, we give them tasks, so it can be test, teach, task, or task, teach, task. And so generally when we talk about teaching English, we talk about teaching them vocab, grammar, and then reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And when we talk about secondary school students, these are quite often separated. So we have the main focus of the lesson, which can be new vocab, or listening, or speaking, or writing. And then there are some additional parts when they speak a little bit, or write a little bit, or read a little bit, with the main focus in the lesson. However, when we talk about young learners, it's a little bit different, right? So how long is a lesson in year 3? So in secondary school, it's 45 minutes, right? With young learners, year 1, it's 35. In year 2, year 3, it's 40 minutes. So we have 40 minutes, right? And we have lots of stuff on our plate that we need to put into our students, right? So that's one of the things that is difficult with young learners. We do not get to focus on one thing, because young learners are different, right? So they can't concentrate on one skill for 40 minutes. So lots of things to be taught, lots of recommendations from the ministry. we also have now this revision period that has to be fit into the lesson frame somehow. And that's all for us to figure out. Now, you also have a resource, right? So I'll be illustrating everything with Fly High Ukraine, as that's, well, the resource that we recommend for the new Ukrainian school. That's the brand new resource that has been created especially for the new Ukrainian school. And I took just a random unit, so it's at the beginning of the course, so it's unit 3, right? And if we look at the page, right, so that's one lesson. And in this lesson, we have 6 new words, short story, and 1 exercise. And then when we start, it's like, okay, I have 40 minutes and 1 exercise. And exactly, it's very difficult to focus students for 40 minutes and to keep their attention. That's true. So it's like, okay, I need to revise something. I need to do reading, listening, speaking, writing, teach new vocab, present some structures. I have 40 minutes. I have revision from year 2. And I have just 1 exercise and 4 pictures and 6 words in the book. Now, we as teachers know that this is possible, but here are 2 options. Either you're very experienced and you know, okay, so what has been covered, what my students not know, how can I add stuff? Or you spend lots of time on preparation, but this is not something I recommend or I believe in, because this leads them to burnout. If you had 1 group of students and that's it, and then 1 lesson a day, yes, that's a good idea. Research, create something new, that's fantastic. But if you have 5, 6, 7 lessons, then you need to have a helper. With Fly High Ukraine, you have a teacher's book that has been created here. And yeah, so with fast lessons and knowing what to do, that's fantastic. So either you've spent your summer holidays preparing, or you have a quality resource which you concentrate on. So we have some detailed lesson plans. And well, we know the structure and the procedure. So let's get back to our page and let's check how all of these work in 1 lesson, right? So thinking about revision and thinking about extra practice of things that students have learned. So when at a glance, knowing that we need to revise things and knowing that from year 3, this is like the 2nd period of primary education, the recommendations say that we should play less games and do more practical work. But the trick is that, yes, we should play less games. But when we think about the activities that we do in our lessons, well, they aren't games exactly. Running to the board to write the word, well, it's not a game. You're writing a word, it's practicing your spelling. Writing the word in your copybook and then showing it to the teacher, or listening and then hitting the correct card or writing the word number. Again, this is not a game. These are educational activities which are actually meant to develop language skills, not to just happen for the sake of happening or happen to make your children enjoy them, entertain, etc. So that's the idea. For the ministry, for the parents, and it's logical that we stop playing. We are getting older with our students and we move to some serious stuff. But with my young learners and even with secondary students, if there is an activity that can be done in pairs, in teams, individually, but then there will be the person who is the first, the second, the third. If you can award points, I call this a game. And it doesn't matter if it's a game, if it's a gamified activity. For students, it's all right. So ministry documents say no games. I personally call a game everything that can be called a game and can get the points. Now, I can see some questions in the chat. So this book is Fly High Ukraine 3 years. Some people are writing that it's a good book. So thanks for the nice words. Yeah. Now, that's the lesson. We've introduced some vocabulary. Again, by year 3, I'm sure you know that we can do this with flashcards, realia, drawing, eliciting stuff from our students, because in year 3 they already know a lot of things. And we have the story, which is both listening because it's recorded and reading. So that's part of skills, right? We work on different skills connected to the language. And we also have an exercise to check understanding, to work on vocabulary. Now, I'm going to share a basic activity, which is perfect for distance learning and social distance in the classroom. So it can be done both online, offline, and in the socially not friendly classrooms, because that's again one of the recommendations by the ministry, which is hard to follow, but a very basic one. So for this one, we need flashcards, but you will be the only one in charge of flashcards. And well, the board and the marker or a piece of chalk. So we take the board, we take the flashcards for the vocabulary that we have just learned in this lesson. And I also use the word cards, which is just right under the words. So that's the new language on the board, flashcards, word cards, students and their desks with some pens and with their exercise books. And we again go through the words. This is year 3, so well, they should be quite confident with reading, but you never know because they've been absent from school for, well, actually like half a year. Now, you stick them to the board and then you put numbers next to each one. So 1 to 6, 6 words, 6 numbers. Then that's you, the teacher, or me, right? A bit shorter hair, but looks just like me. And you ask your students, okay, everyone, class, please take some paper and a pen, right? They did it, ready. And then you can do something as simple as a dictation, but you as teacher name a number. For example, you say 1. And what do you think your students will write into their exercise books? So Oksana is writing about adding more words. Oksana, it depends. In this very activity, as all this is new language, I could add like up to 4 words that I want to review, not new language, but something from year 2, year 1, or from previous lessons. So yeah, why not? So there will be 10 words, 6 that have just been learned, and 4 that you want to revise. If you see during the lesson that the language is not easy and students are not concentrated, then I would just go with these 6 words. Now, can anyone type the word? Which word is number 1? Smile, Anna. Yes, you're the first one. And Ruslana, fantastic job. Yes, so students write smile. Great job, everyone. And then you give them another number, 5. And they write swimsuit. Now, how you can do this? So this activity is done merely to practice spelling. I'm not testing my students. That is why they have both flashcards and word cards on the board. So I tell them the number, they look at the picture, so that's, and they think of Ukrainian most often, like kupalnik, and it's a swimsuit, and they copy it. And that's it. If you think that, well, it went quite all right, and that shouldn't be difficult for my students, you can simply stick the flashcards, no word cards. But then I would allow my students to open their books. And then I say the number, they look and say, okay, if you have problems, you can check it in the book, no problem, because we are still learning. Or they can just copy from the board. So the level of difficulty can be varied. If that was done in like 2 lessons from now, I would put only the flashcards and ask my students to remember the words from memory and maybe then later check them in the book so that it's not too challenging and stressful. Then I would be testing how well they remember the words. Here I'm just making them write the words. And yes, I would call this a game and I would ask them to give themselves stars for the correct completion. But is it a game? Basically, it's you making students copy the words from the board to practice spelling so they remember how the words are written. But if you say, guys, copy the words from the board, you'll be like, oh, boring. Game. Okay, number, word, match it, find it. That's it. If you want to add a bit more challenge to the game, right? So that was number 6, share it. Same thing. 6 words, 6 numbers. You can keep the word cards on the board. So same lesson. And you can add up right? We remember New Ukrainian School, harmonious development. We are developing not only English in our lesson, but we are learning them to collaborate, communicate. We are working on their like digital literacy, and we are working on them knowing like mathematics, other subjects. We are combining everything, and we are preparing them for life, which is a very good thing. So why not put on some mathematical problems, something basic, something everyone in year 3 can do, right? And then, so 10 minus 6, which word is it? It will be the first one to type. Let's check. How good are you at mathematics? You haven't calculated the marks in quite a long numbers. That's number 4, but which word is it? Yes, Natalia, it's sunglasses, right? And Ludmila, fantastic. Okay. It looks like you're back in the teacher's hat and you're back in the mathematical mood, language mood. So right here, right? This is sunglasses. Okay, let's try one more with you. 2 plus 3, which word will it be? Ooh, that's a poem. Okay, what is it? What is it? That's number 5, and that's swimsuit. Fantastic. Okay, I can see a question. We'll get back to it at the end. That is swimsuit, great. And the last one, I promise. 7 minus 5 equals to which word? Short. I haven't seen who was the first one because you're so good at typing. That is short. Oh, wrong slide, sorry. Shirt. And then again, I got short, so you can repeat the words, no problem. This is very good if you want to make your students write some difficult word, which they don't like and obviously don't want to write because it is challenging a couple times. So you give them different mathematical problems, which result in them writing the same problem a couple times. Again, something pretty basic. So here it's not about knowing mathematics because I'm sure everyone can multiply 2 and 3 and get 6, or 2 and 1 and get short. But this is a little bit of a competition. You can call this a game, right? A competition. They can do this one by one. So no communication, not getting close to one another. They can do this in pairs and then like just check with each other and work on it together. But for me, the idea here is my students get to practice writing the words. While working on Fly High Ukraine 3 and generally working in years 3 and 4, the main focus shifts from listening and speaking to putting more attention to writing because, well, year 1, we are just starting to write. This is the foundation. Lots of fine motor skills when we color things, when we connect things, when we draw dots, lines, stars, hearts, whatever. So we get used to holding a pen and a pencil. Year 2, we start writing words and even phrases. And then year 3 is about building this writing foundation when they are able to produce phrases and even sentences in writing without even thinking how to write the word. So it's something natural. When they hear the word, they start writing it at once. And that's it. So that's why it's something quite simple. And we don't break any rules. So we're on a safe ground. Well, and surprise, of course, I took it from Fly High Ukraine Teacher's Book, which we wrote this year and which has been printed and it's on its way to Ukraine. So let's get back to our lesson, right? And again, we know that we learned words, we worked on a story, we had an exercise, and there is a tick and a penguin saying extra practice. Now, for the students, this is very good. So they know that's the story, that's my focus of the exercise. For the teacher, this tick and extra practice suggests that there should be some other activity. And what's that? Well, they should look into the teacher's book. Now, let's have a look at this one. Again, each student gets 3 post-it notes, and they have these 6 words that have been learned today. The task is to choose 1, 2, 3 words and to write them on their notes. Now, that's a secret. They're written. Then the idea is that you organize students into groups. Now, this one, they do not need actually to sit together, so there can be distance. They will not need to hug each other or anything. So they all keep their notes and their words, which are secret. And then you get to practice the words because they are on the notes and the structure that has been learned in the previous lessons, in the previous year. For example, here, have you got? So one student starts with have you got and one of the new words, like shorts, and then nominate someone, like have you got shorts, Anna? And then, or in this case, Nazar probably has to answer yes or no, but with the structure. So yes, I have, no, I haven't. Well, the original idea was that if shorts are there, then they are transferred to the student with the good guess. Well, if you don't want your students to exchange papers, and we don't, right? Your students can draw themselves a star, like I've guessed, and then the student who has to give it away, well, puts it aside. So it's no longer his note, it's out of the game. And then after the activity, they'll count how many stars they got. That's it. So, or, well, maybe we'll get to live to the time when social distancing will be a miss and we'll be able to hug each other when we meet in seminars, and there will be seminars to meet in, and it will be okay to get together, 400 people, and to exchange ideas about teaching, which is a fantastic thing. And that's something that I do miss a lot. Right? And then another student continues with another question. So they have 6 words and everyone has 3 words on their cards. Like, have you got sunglasses? She's asking Anna, and then Anna says, no, I haven't, because she hasn't got the word. And then no exchange, no stars are given, and then it continues in a circle. Now, this can be done actually in pairs, no problem. But of course, it's more fun when there are more students interacting and there are more variants whom to ask. This can be done as a whole group activity if you don't have a very big group, because if there are 26 students, it's a problem. Then it's better to divide them into 4 groups, I guess. But it can be 5 to 7 students talking together, or 3 students. If you have a spacious classroom so they can get some like spacious circles, then that should be all right. And that's it. And you can ask the student who wants to answer the question to walk, get 1 meter from the person whom he or she wants to ask, and then ask the question. If someone wants to act to move a little bit, yeah, well, that's it. Now, let's move forward. That was us, and that was extra practice. And that was us again remembering about these requirements. Revision. We've realized have you got from years 1 and 2, and we've practiced the new vocabulary from this lesson, and we did some speaking. And it was, well, a group activity where they needed to communicate, to collaborate, to learn to respect each other. So it's like all in one. And these play with pet activities in Fly High Ukraine, well, they are based on some grammar or vocab material, and usually they practice both speaking and listening, like asking questions, listening, responding. So it's like double-sided activity, and that's it. So someone says like it's noisy. Yes, it is. Well, at the moment when you get like 4 or even 2 or 3 students talking at the same time, yes, it's noisy, because if you're in an office, in a shop, anywhere, and there are 4 or 5 people talking at the same time, it is noisy. But so you have 3 minutes with 5 students talking at the same time. It's the same as you had 15 minutes of your lesson where only 1 student is talking, right? So, well, I think it's worth saving a little bit of time. Now, again, we remember New Ukrainian School, formative assessment. And here we started to talk not only about formative assessment, but self-assessment, self-evaluation, reflection, and the ministry documents tell us, and probably that's not a bad idea again, that we should push students to independent learning. We should give them the responsibility for learning, so student autonomy. And we also should make sure that, well, they reflect on what has been learned. And again, we have here something called values. Be a team player. Well, one way, as we need to teach them these life skills, 21st century skills. Students, play in teams, but keep the distance, right? Or again, we can combine it all together and do something like this. So we give our class 1 minute. Class, you have 1 minute, okay? You work individually. So everyone is with their own private desk, and try to write as many words as you can. Now, this is a revision lesson, so we've covered the module. You can give your students 1 minute to look through the pages of the book. You can use flashcards before this activity and just review the words with your students. Or you can just go blind, say, okay, remember everything you've learned at the topic food or family or whatever topic was of your lesson. And your students work individually. 1 minute is done. You say, okay, thank you very much, everyone. Now, time to stop, put down your pens, and please, so they have a list of words now, count the words. So they count, you enlisted the numbers, how many have you got? You get 5, 7, 10, 12, 3, fantastic, great. So you remember the words. Great job, everyone, thank you. And that could be it, like you've covered the topic, nicely done. But then you give your students 1 minute again, and you give them the very same task, write as many words as you can. But this time, work in pairs or in teams. Again, social distance. So it's going to be noisier. So the only problem with the social distance that the bigger the distance, the louder everyone has to speak. So it gets noisy. And mainly that's the problem for the teacher and for the school board and for the management, directors, etc. Because no one likes noise. Everyone likes when it's nice, cozy, and quiet. But, well, we as teachers, me personally, I'm used to noisy classrooms, students, especially in primary school, being under the desk, on the desk, and wherever. So if you can make peace with the noise, no problem. So they are a little bit apart, but they can still talk and exchange the words and dictate the words. And this one is going to be actually quite helpful for listening skills, because in the noise and when the distance is bigger and when they cannot just copy the words and look into each other's paper because there is 1 meter and something, so they need actually to listen. So for language, it's actually cute. But they do exchange their lists. They add the words that the partner has come with. They maybe remember together some other words, fantastic. And then you ask them again to count the words. And, well, 99.5% that this time they will have more words. And so you get to discuss with your students, okay, when did you get more words? When you're working alone or in pairs? Or if you didn't have to keep social distance, it could be groups. Well, of course, in pairs, they get more words. So, why else can it be better to work in a team? Now, can anyone type any ideas why it's better to work in a team? So, number one, you can get bigger result, right? Now, are there any other advantages of teamwork? So I can see people typing in the chat. So let's wait a couple seconds. What can be the benefits of teamwork? So in teams, they get more speaking time, but that's for us teachers, for children. Exactly, Ludmila, they can help each other. So if you are a part of a team, you can ask your teammates for help. So that's collaboration, that's sharing responsibilities, that's getting support, that's getting encouragement. Again, from our teacher's perspective, when you're in a team, we understand that for students, it's less stressful, because if a team makes a mistake, that's 5 people making the same mistake. And that's very different from one person making a mistake. But for students, it's helping each other, it's doing more work, it's sharing the tasks, it's, learning some new things because other people can show you. It's not so stressful. Again, it's a good point. So you can work in some safe environment. It's more fun. So you can talk, you can discuss things, you can get new perspectives. So actually, teamwork has a lot of advantages. And if you let your students work this out by themselves, guys, why is it better when you're working in a pair or in a team? in the group. So what does it give to you? Maybe next time when you say, okay, you'll be working in pairs, in teams, in year 7, when you ask them, okay, make a dialogue together or prepare a story or work on a project, they will not be saying like, I don't like him. They'll say, good, we can share the responsibility, we can share the tasks, we can do homework faster. So you let your students discover the benefits by themselves, not patronizing, not telling them, okay, this is me telling you, but do you think it's a good thing? Why? What proof have you got? And they have got a bigger list. And that's it. So that was like a revision lesson. And there was like a small icon saying be a team player. And that was us working on communication, collaboration, listening, speaking, vocabulary. You can ask them to use some phrases. So that would be grammar, etc., etc. So one circle with one phrase, but actually half of the lesson objectives can be done with this. Now, if you have looked through the ministry documentations, and I'm sure you have, you remember that we still work on these 21st century skills or life skills, and there is a special program how to develop them. And again, this is fantastic that we are teachers of English, because for us, it's very, very easy. We get to discuss with our students all the possible topics, which we would not be able to discuss that easily in mathematical lessons, in physical education, in music lessons, etc., etc. So we are teaching English and we have this topic, I searched the internet. Well, that's a practical skill, right? And also, if you have a look at, for example, Ukraine, we get to discuss some practical questions, personal questions, like how can you keep in touch with your friends on the internet or family on the internet? And then you discuss social networks, different media, emails. Maybe they have blogs and blogs. Some students started early, so in year 3 there can be children who are at least thinking about this. And then you can discuss the rules, the netiquette, what's safe, what's not. So all this is done while working on the topic and learning new vocabulary to the topic internet, while developing reading, while developing speaking, etc., etc. So for us teachers of English, and well, for teachers of German and Spanish and Polish and other languages, this comes natural that we get to discuss lots of personal stuff with our students, and we get to work on these life skills with them. Or for example, a topic, right, real life task, same page, same spread, and students get as homework or as a class activity to actually go somewhere on the internet. So they are transferred to a, well, safe website through QR code or through the link, and they get a task to watch a video and then answer a question. So something practical, some skills put to practice, and English language included. Or time management. Well, we have to start things like that early. So students get to learn about checklists and having a timetable and following the tasks. And then we discuss things like, do you use checklists and timetables? Or who's waking you up in the morning, every morning? Or have you got an alarm clock? Or do your parents use an alarm clock? So this pushes students into personalization, into, well, reflection on their life, on their habits. They start to say, maybe it's not a bad idea to put down things that I need to do and then make sure that I do them. Or like, okay, how am I going to make sure that I wake up on time? So right now, I have only mom who's responsible for this, but how can I take more responsibility? Or like, okay, so it's necessary to know what time is it and when to get up. And again, they get a real life task. They make their own checklist. And they need to think, okay, I have homework, I have dance classes, so I need to take my ballet shoes, and I need to ask my mom to take me to the dance class, and I need to do my homework before the dance class because I have English the next day, and my teacher is not going to be happy if I come not ready. So this makes your students build a bigger picture, and that's another part of reflection, which is not only about like am I doing good in the class? What? Who am I? What hobbies have I got? What I want to be? What's important for me? What responsibilities I have? So this is becoming a citizen and a mindful one. And they also get to discuss topics that are interesting for them, like pets. And again, here it's a lot of personalization, and it's a bit of language with reading, writing, presentational skills, because they get to do their class presentations and they need to talk about their pets, imaginary or the ones they have or the ones they want to have. And that's, well, not only about language and talking about dog you have, but this is understanding like, okay, I need to present some information to other people. I need to share my information. So how can I make it meaningful? How can I make it effective? And again, in the teacher's book, you'd find the whole procedure with a list of questions that you can put on for your students onto the board, like think about this. So while preparing, they understand what they need to include and how they'll be evaluated. And of course, when we talk about real life skills, and it's not only about New Ukrainian School, but it's about, them being part of Ukraine, being Ukrainian citizens, and understanding their culture, their national some traditions, symbols, etc. So there are spreads that are devoted to this, both for students to think a little bit about their personal identity and then to be able to share this information if they get the chance to go abroad, to talk to people from other countries. Again, new language, different skills, and again we have these values, which is not patronizing but letting your students understand, well, they have lots of things to be proud of, and they also have this culture project, and they get to, here draw Vyshyvanka, and again, so they present it, they vote, they choose, they understand that, okay, so I need to evaluate other people, I need to accept criticism maybe, I need to be fair when I'm talking about the work of other people, etc., etc. And that's all part of a very right reform, where we want to not only make sure our students know present perfect, or they are B2 English, they can read, listen, speak, write, but that they have an identity, they understand who they are in this world, what they want to be, they have ambitions, they have dreams, and they know that they are part of something bigger, they are part of community, part of society, part of a country. Okay, so that was us going through New Ukrainian School and Fly High Ukraine 3. And as you know, there are lots of online materials which are actually free of charge. And I hope my moderator, Natalia, will send you a link to it in a minute. So let her find it. And I'll tell you what's in there. So all the audio materials, they are online available. And of course, there are CDs if you want a CD. So it's all there if you need it. Now, just a second. Also, there are video materials, and with the video materials, there are ready-made lesson plans. So tasks, pre-watching, while watching, post-watching. So you can use it as a ready-made lesson, extra lessons for your classes. It can be done both offline, online, and social distancing isn't a problem here. There are games that your students can play on their own, or that you can play in the classroom if you have internet connection and a smartboard. So thank you, Natalia, for the link. So Fly High internal.com.ua, you can find it there. And there is a Fly High library with reading texts, all of them recorded, and there are also exercises. So if you're looking for video lessons, listening lessons or reading lessons, or some games, you should follow the link and enjoy the materials that are all here on our website. So don't be shy and use it. Now, that was part of our training. One more thing about the certificates. Так, пам'ятаємо, сертифікати будуть на електронну пошту за тиждень. Якщо раптом будуть раніше, то це прекрасно, але думаю, що наша маркетингова компанія не встигне наш відділ. Тому користуйтесь Fly High Digital, зберігайте терпіння, очікуйте, а у нас сесія запитань і відповідей. Так, зараз я спробую гарненько переключитись в чаті на запитання. Ану. Так, от щось у мене тут є, зараз і прочитаємо. От і вас 1 вересня, пані Олено. Якщо нема зовнішнього CD-ROM дисководу, на жаль, Fly-High CD-ROM, який йде з 2-го рівня у кожному Activity Book, матеріали його недоступні. Тому така ситуація. Є Fly-High Digital з купою матеріалів, які доступні, це інші матеріали, а CD-ROM або купляти тоді зовнішній CD-ROM, або шукати старенький комп'ютер. Тут вам нічого іншого не пораджу. Так, а ще хтось тут такі гарні слова написав про culture pages. Правда, вони гарненькі. І я з вами, пані Оксано, погоджуюсь. Мабуть, усе вони не знають, але правда, відчуття, і це дуже правильне відчуття у дітей, коли я знаю. Тоді на наступному уроці у них знову, тепер я точно усе знаю. І так усі 11 років. Це прекрасно. Fly-High 4. Fly-High 4, Ukraine, в процесі, тому буде, коли не скажу, сподіваюся, що скоро. Так. А от тут хтось пише про рекомендацію. Міністерство Fly-High Ukraine має гриф, може використовуватися навчальними закладами без жодних проблем, але, на жаль, лише за кошти батьків. Так, якщо ще є якісь запитання, то ви їх, мабуть, напишіть ще раз, бо я ж точно щось було, але пропустила під час тренінгу. Якщо повторите, то я відповім, бо більше я зараз питань не бачу. Ще завжди дивно, ніхто питань не писав. Можливо, ви навіть і не слухаєте. Сертифікати передають тільки тим, хто написав запитання. Так, тексти для читання. От я бачу питання від пана Андрія. Правильно? Правильно. Тексти для читання не погруповані, ми їх нагрупували по рівнях, але вони різного рівня складності, ви вже можете самі відкрити і продивитись. Чому так? Тому що вчаться всі за різними програмами. Хтось скаже, так у мене це вже 1 клас тільки, 2 клас не піде. По тематиці вони різні, ви можете просто підбирати за тематикою, а ще тепер до кожного тексту для читання є завдання. Тому, як варіант, ви відкриваєте завдання, дивитесь на лексику, дивитесь на те, що учням потрібно виконати, і вже орієнтуєтесь, окей, ми це вже проходили, можна брати. Або ще поки ні. Трошки довчимося і тоді візьмемо. Так. От бачу, пані Наталочка закинула ще посилання на Fly-High Library. Пані Оксана нам дякує. І ми вам, пані Оксана, дякуємо. Приходьте ще. От тут я аж мушу прекрасні слова пані Наталі вивести на екран. Пані Наталю, це правда. І це те, за що я правда люблю викладати і працювати з молодшими школярами. Тому що такого справжнього захвату ви ніколи не побачите. Навіть працюючи з старшокласниками, гарний урок був, прикольно було, можна почути. А от з молодшими школярами ти завжди знаєш, коли урок був вдалий, коли вони і не хочуть йти з класу. Тоді все прекрасно. Так, ось питання про диск. Якщо ми говоримо про Fly-High Ukraine CD-ROM, який з 2-го рівня є у Activity Book прикріплений, ні, ви можете його використовувати зі стількома комп'ютерами, зі скількома забажаєте. Він не одноразовий, тобто кожного разу ви його встановлюєте і користуєтесь. Там обмежень нема. Підходить для всіх комп'ютерів, у яких є CD-ROM, куди його можна вставити. Тобто це можна там із колегами, наприклад, ділитися, якщо раптом у вас є і колега свій забув удома. І учні можуть десь із собою кудись брати в подорожі і приносити кудись. Це без проблем. Так, контрольні роботи. Контрольні роботи є на Fly-High Digital, якщо я правильно пам'ятаю, там, де усі додаткові ресурси, матеріали для вчителя. Там ви знайдете і контрольні роботи. От, на посиланні у книзі для вчителя або у Students Book теж можна зайти. Оце посилання Fly-High Ukraine, за ним теж усі тести є готові. Тому самому складати не потрібно. Тільки якщо дуже хочеться. Так, text for this level. Для 3-го класу справді тексти є, а ще плануємо оновлювати, тому, думаю, будуть і нові. Так, додаткові завдання до уроків. У книзі для вчителя їх багато. у всіх планах уроків, крім того, що є покроковий алгоритм роботи із самим підручником, є початок уроку, є завершення уроку, теж який без підручника відбувається, є також готові додаткові ідеї, які можна використовувати. Тому так, додаткові завдання є. Flashcards. Є оригінальні до курсу Fly High Ukraine, можна їх замовити, придбати, а є також розроблені компанією Untitled Education набори для молодшої школи, там Set 1, Set 2 по темах теж в наявності. Так, скільки часу на повторення матеріалу? Дивіться, тут все дуже складно. Міністерство казало, що перші 2 тижні ми повторюємо. Ви знаєте, як вийшло у вас працювати і зібрати дітей на дистанційне навчання, і як вони працювали, не працювали. Тому що я знаю випадки, коли колеги теж жаліли батьки, сказали, у нас нема можливості. Можливо, правда, не було можливості. Можливо, не було комусь, були на роботі, і це дитя сиділо вдома і розфарбовувало щось по-різному. Тому я знаю людей, які точно знають, ми не пройшли матеріал у березні, квітні, травні практично взагалі, а я знаю також людей, які кажуть, ні, у нас онлайн все працювало, батьки сиділи, домашні робили, ще й просили, дайте ще. Тому, як мінімум, вам треба якесь або коротеньке тестування зробити, теж можна у формі гри, тому що гра звучить цікавіше, ніж тест, або квест назвати це. Подивитися, що вони засвоїли, що запам'ятали, що забули, і тоді вже зразу повторювати матеріал. Як варіант, ви можете і допрацьовувати те, що ви пропустили, плюс брати новий матеріал програми, або просто відвести якийсь період на повторення. Ми всі пам'ятаємо, ніхто цього не міняв, рамковість програми. Правда? І міністерство нам розказує, нова українська школа, що ми там маємо на кінець 2 класу вийти на рівень 3A1, так? І пізніше вже йдемо A1 і закінчимо 11 клас B1, B2. Тому абсолютно ви, як вчитель, маєте в цьому плані свободу. Ви можете взагалі пропрацювати перші місяці над матеріалом, який ви не опрацювали в 3 класі. Цього теж ніхто ніде не забороняв. Так, Active Teach. Active Teach можна замовити у магазині, пане Андрій, або у вашого менеджера. Тому що Active Teach – це отакий гарненький фізичний диск, з яким можна працювати. Календарне планування. Наталочка не дасть збрехати, на сайті є на 3 години до Fly High Ukraine. Якщо у вас 2, тоді теж ви можете зараз побачити, як працюватиме навчальний рік, тому що мої друзі, працюючи з Fly High Ukraine, є 2 варіанти. Або зразу із першого семестру деякі уроки беруть зразу розгортами, тобто за 1 урок опрацьовують і вокабуляр, і граматику. Знаю колег, які перший семестр працюють one page, one lesson, в другому семестрі працюють розгортами і кажуть, окей, ми перший семестр, поки діти налаштувались, поки ми все повторили, тому що хочуть виділяти на уроці власний час на повторення, тому беруть менше матеріал. А в другому семестрі ми вже війшли в навчальний ритм і все у нас працює пречудесно. Тому тут на вибір є варіант працювати 1,5 роки, такого теж ніхто не забороняє. Так, картки для 4 класу, ну давайте так. В теорії вони точно є, компанія Pearson їх друкує. Якщо є вони зараз в наявності, ви можете глянути на сайті магазину або зателефонувати нам, а я зараз повернусь на свою презентацію, пане Андрій, і вам дякую, і покажу. Давайте глянемо на запитання. Чи є ще якісь? Ой, ви тут дякуєте, а я не бачила, а я читала запитання. І я вам теж дякую. О, правда, коли дитина каже, що я тебе люблю, пані Наталія, то це пречудесно. Так. Питання поки більше не бачу. Якщо хтось щось соромиться, то ми тут уже майже тісною компанією зібралися. Тому не хвилюйтесь. Ось наші контакти, і телефон, і імейл. І Наталочка вам закинула теж магазин. Можете пошукати, подивитись, ціни є, інформація актуальна, можна зателефонувати, якщо щось не зрозуміло або хочете знайти. Тому, впевнена, все розберемось, все знайдемо. Якщо раптом що, дзвоніть, пишіть. Будемо шукати. І я вам дякую. Ой, пані Віталіна, і ви не хворійте. Тому що зараз хворіти от зовсім не весело. Тільки ж дозволили в класи піти, Тому ні, зараз ніхто не хворіє. Давайте будемо хворіти колись потім, не зараз. Ну що, раз питань нема, вдячна. Якщо раптом що, будемо говорити про нову українську школу ще теж ближчим часом, буду повторювати цей тренінг цього тижня. Приходьте ще, у нас цікаво. І ми вас завжди раді бачити.